This is an interview with Karen Oughton and
Adam Kelly, or Bricky.
with the absolutely bloody hell amazing Jen and Sylvia. Right, now I've been told there's nothing off bounds, is that correct?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
I read in one of your interviews that you were saying horror is partly about looking at fear and looking at your own fears. Was there anything about Mary that actually scared you guys?
The content didn't scare me when it comes to body modification because the people in the body mod community are so sound-minded, you would be shocked. And I've met doctors, like surgeons, and I'm like, oh my god, you cut into people? You probably do that because you have some sort of a problem. But a lot of it was a literal translation from Jen and my experience in the film industry. We've been acting since we were 7 years old, and we met some horrible, horrible monsters. Well, and one of our closest girlfriends, we didn't know this, but she was a high-end escort, so we actually ended up in a party very similar to what happened there, and nothing happened to us, thank God, because there's two of us. But there was just I've seen so many horrible situations, and I guess a lot of the film was very therapeutic because we didn't know how to deal with this. We were still putting out Dead Hooker in a Trunk. We had no food, no money, no nothing. And I was like, I really want to make movies, but I don't think I'm ever going to be able to do anything like this. So we needed to take it and make it tangible. And my grandmother, she's not doing very well. And we were like, there's all these things that I can't handle right now in my life, but if I turn it into a movie, maybe I will be able to handle it. So real human emotions and experiences, that scares me. People that what you normally perceive as monsters, that doesn't bother me at all. Those are my people.
The one Ranko party, that would probably be the scariest thing for me because the situation, I mean, it was a few times that we found ourselves in very violent and aggressive situations like that. And I've been drugged before, and there's two of us, so we get in a cab and we're like, I had a sip of beer and I can't see straight. Maybe I should just get the fuck out of here very quickly. It's terrifying for me to think of, well, most girls are by themselves. They don't have an identical twin to help them, so to find yourself in a situation like that, and there's so many predators that when Mary goes there, she's wanting to be on the same level as the surgeons. I've been to parties with producers and directors where I think I'm on the same level, and then I get there and very fucking quickly it becomes very abundantly clear I'm not there at the same level. I'm there as a party favor, and it's get the fuck out of there very fast. And they really abuse you when you try to get out of there as well, because they tell you, oh, well, I'm not going to work with you, or I'm going to tell everyone you're a fucking slut, and they fucked you anyways. And it's like, go ahead, go fuck yourself. I'm not staying here. I'm not going to compromise. Even if I have to eat, craft dinner for the rest of my life and not work with you, I don't care.
I think that's actually the scariest moment in the film, because we did so much shit in that one scene where you're like, she's so happy to be invited there, and she's so glossy, and she's like, I'm wearing a pretty dress and it's couture and I'm with the doctors, and everything around you, like there's pictures of vaginas everywhere, there's call girls, and you're like, Mary, get the fuck out of there. Oh, what's your name? Drink. Oh, have a drink. You're like, oh Jesus, have you never left your apartment before? This is like every warning sign in the fucking book.
Yeah.
Or do you get the fuck? But she just was so enamored and stupid about it. And it's just, I loved how heartbreaking it was, just because, well, Catherine is such a trooper. We had 15 days to shoot this. We had so many wardrobe changes, so many costume changes, so many stunts, so many everything. And if you'd had an actress that wasn't so insane about this character, you wouldn't have ended up with the same movie that you did. And Katie actually cut herself. She was thrown around. She was just running around like crazy. She did every single thing, and she had to actually go through that experience because that's the kind of actress she is. So she'd draw on things that had happened to her. If she wasn't Mary, we wouldn't have ended up with a film. We wouldn't have even been able to do it in 15 days. And I started as a huge fan of Catherine Isabel, but actually getting to work with her, I'm even more of a fan. She's just...
There's no word for what we are for her now.
I get all weepy over Mary. She's awesome.
To put that kind of trust in a director as well, because she's been deeper in the film industry than we have as an actress, and she's been in those situations absolutely as well. And when she did Ginger Snap, she was 17 going on 18, and there is because it's a very sexually mature role, and she was at that place in her life, she met some very, very creepy people and very violent, kind of dangerous people as well, and she she trusted us enough to safely go into that place for American Mary, and I'm just so grateful to her.
Did you use the writing process as a kind of catharsis?
Definitely. Well, what do you do when you have no money? If your phone's not cut off, bill collectors are going in. You have family members in and out of the hospital. You have everything falling apart. You're trying to be a filmmaker. Of course, in her situation, she's a doctor, and everyone's telling you you suck, you're never going to make it, and the people you do meet are the worst fucking human beings on the planet. You're like, how do I grab control of my life? If we had, I don't know what we would do if we didn't have this script to write. We would have probably gone fucking insane. But every time we put it in there, we're like, okay, well, now we have control over it. And it was weird because when we were making the film, when we were actually shooting it, it was all coming back out. Like, especially the grandmother stuff, we would have to, finally, we would have to deal with that. We would have to be present for that. Like, your worst fears, oh my God, now I have to do this.
That's incredible. I noticed that, Sylvia, there was a lot of discussion about how the character's kind of your baby, if anybody's... Do you mind me asking why?
Oh, no, not at all. A lot of her is just based on me. It's
true. I mean, we're identical twins, but Mary in a lot of ways is Sylvia. And, you know, speaking to her now, you would never think that she has, like, social anxieties or she has a difficulty connecting to people.
Yeah, I know.
But she does, and it's not like she's socially awkward, but, you know, sometimes when you have a strong personality, you attract bad people in your life, and they just keep coming in kind of a vicious cycle, and then as a result, you don't really put yourself out there as much anymore.
You know, I find it really hard to connect with people, and I find myself so weird and so well, Sylvia Plath has a great quote. She either likes people too much or not at all, and I find myself like that. I'm just a day dreaming through everything, and people like Katie, I wouldn't even look at her at some of our meetings, and we'd have 3-hour meetings, and I'm like, this is this. I remember we had this huge meeting, and I was like, and your hair's gonna be dark brown, almost black, and it's your blue eyes, and she's like, my eyes are green. And the first time I even fucking looked at her, I was like, what? What do you mean your eyes are green? She's like, but I could wear contacts, they would be blue. And then I started to argue with her. I was like, no, your eyes are fucking blue. No. And then on set, it was almost like a joke. She's like, are my eyes blue? And I was like, yeah, they're always blue. She's like, you know, they're green. Like, no.
They're more blue when she's crying.
Yeah, I know. She's so beautiful when she cries. I'm the worst friend in the world, but I'm like, we need to make you more miserable, my darling.
One thing I was wondering, I teach film studies, a lot of semiotics, connotation, denotation, yada. I had interpreted the film quite differently. I'd interpreted it as a very odd kind of a rape revenge thing, and I was interested in the way that the colours go from kind of a browny colour to, obviously we have the black, we have the leather. What was the thinking behind the costumes and the colours that are used throughout the film?
Well, the colours throughout it are red, white, and blue. There's blue tones, there's red tones, and there's white tones. I wanted there to be a lot of Americana, but there's never a point where we're like, this is called American Mary because she's pursuing the American dream, but it's at the sacrifice of herself because ambition can destroy the personality that you have in your own morality. But constantly I would be going around and being like, okay guys, we need so much Americana, we need Americana here. And Suspiria was a huge thing. The way Dario Argento uses lighting, you don't see that anymore because now everybody's like, well, we're filming digital, we need one shop light and then we'll fix it in post. But we kind of wanted to old school it. We kind of wanted to make people excited about what they're actually seeing on the screen. So we tried to make everything as organic and alive to the story as possible, because there's nothing more disappointing than watching a movie and it's telling you what you're going to get from it. It's telling you, oh, this is why she does this is why he does this is what's happening, and we wanted so many things where people could just watch the film and think, because I like to have a good think once in a while, and I felt you actually could. I don't know if you noticed it, but in the last scene, the blood smears are done as stripes as the American flag.
I did actually.
Oh, did you? Oh, God, you noticed that?
So it was fascinating because I thought first, okay, has she won? Has she lost? Because obviously she's in almost like a cruciform kind of shape as well. How does that work? Because obviously there's this big thing about nationality in there as well. You know, the Hungarian accent is coming through. Is it Hungarian?
It is Hungarian.
Yes.
Oh, you're good.
It's all that comes through. So there's all this national kind of relocation, delocation, trying to work out where she is. How does that fit in with? Is it just the case that she can't fit in, so she just goes back in her head to the motherland? I mean, how does that work for you guys?
Well, we're Hungarian, and we made sure that our production designer was also Hungarian because we wanted to have so much of our own personality in there. Because if you write something, it should be very honest. And I don't know if I'll ever make anything this personal again. I can't cry every fucking day on set. No, I was a miserable fucking bitch most of the time. But it was really important for us to make it something that was that felt real. Like especially her apartment at the very beginning. It's almost like her personality is exploded on her head, and it's on the walls, and it's her obsession. And then as she becomes more closed off and severe, like her appearance becomes like her body armor. Yes. Like Jen and I, obviously, we wear a fair bit of makeup, and we dress up a certain way because that's how we protect ourselves from stuff. As long as you're pretty and you're complete, maybe everything else is falling apart around you, but you're not apart. You can control that. And even in Mary's situation, that was a way she didn't deal with what was happening around her. She was like, at least I look this way. I don't actually have to deal with anything. And you do that, and then you don't deal with things, and it just keeps building and building. And it was like a modern tragedy because everything that could happen to her, it did happen to her. Like even at the very end in her new apartment, all the windows are bars because she's in her almost a self-made prison that she's done. I love that you know so much about film because we do all this shit, and I'm like, I hope fucking people notice. And they're like, I have so many people that are like, Sylvia, we can't do this. There's too much time. I'm like, no, people are gonna notice. This is important. This is part of her psyche. It's on the fucking walls.
For the people that do notice, it matters so much.
Yeah,
no, it's a thrill, and all the color comes out in her new room because it's like it's all dead. All the color comes out of her stuff. All of a sudden, she's severe. She always has to look the same way, and it's a control thing, and it's just kind of nice to have that thoughtfulness in a horror movie.
It's funny because I noticed the way that Beatrice looks as well. The whole idea of using Betty Boop, but doing it in that way that it isn't perfect. She looks like almost like a cartoon. Looking at the way her mouth's done.
Yes.
At the way ladies have to look in horror films. Ladies have to look beautiful because somebody says, with you guys, seriously, in the costumes you were wearing, it's like, yeah, this is how we look, and we will say this is beautiful, and you will damn well listen. And seriously.
Oh my god, I love you.
I mean, how does image work in this film for you guys?
Go ahead.
No, you start off.
I would say the tagline was appearances are everything, because what does a girl who looks like Catherine Isabel have in common with somebody who has like extreme body modification have? You're judged on your appearance immediately. So it was so important for us to have those stereotypes, but we wanted them to be real organic characters. Like it would be so easy to have the Betty Boop Beatrice character be exactly like Beatrice, but she wasn't. She was like almost like a punk rock stripper version, because it was like Betty Boop was her power animal. Even the Barbie girl, she wasn't exactly a Barbie. She just had her own interpretation of what sexuality was. She took it on like a real person would. It's just like you try and make it, it's fantastical, but you're trying to make it authentic so a real person could actually get into this.
That's also why Beatrice at the end, she's still talking like Betty Boop in her voice, and people are like, well, why didn't she break and go into her normal voice? To Beatrice, that is her normal voice. I mean, she doesn't just drop her voice into a baritone like I do. Even though she was severely beaten and she was on her final legs, she still was clinging to this sense of self.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what makes the film so interesting, is that it works on so many different levels for so many different people, and one person's interpretation could be completely different from the other, yet it will still work. And it's really good to see films that are actually interesting and engaging rather than just straightforward.
Thank you so
Oh my god, thank you. I find that in not every North American film, but in so many North American films, they tell you exactly what to think about every single thing.
And they're like nudging at the audience, like, look at this guy, he's probably evil, or this is probably gonna happen now, or a joke. Like, we tried to make it as mumblecore as possible, that all the jokes just fall on the floor. If you want to pick them up, you can. But in other ones, they're like, get it? Huh? Do you see the joke? Expression. Oh, it's a lull. Let's laugh about it.
Well, we call that the age of the laugh track. Like, everyone's laughing now, so this is when you're supposed to laugh. I mean, laugh, don't laugh, get upset, feel whatever you want to feel. It's interpretive.
And that's the thing. The way I saw an interview, I forget where it is, and I feel really guilty about that, where you were talking about how we viscerally feel films. It isn't up here, it starts down here. It starts by, do you want to feel the person? Do you want to cuddle them? And that's the thing. That's how we learn. What message do you want people to get out of this film? Because I think it's deeper than just, as you say, that accepting people.
I think a lot of people are going to find different things from the movie. There isn't going to be one blanket statement that it's like, oh, this is what you want to get over it. A lot of it is a self-fulfilling prophecy of what you can become, especially, well, you know, women working in anything, it's so fucking hard. Like, they look at you, are you fuckable, are you not? And then it's like, not only do you have to be perfect and pretty, but you have to be sweet and polite, and you have to... Have you ever read the comic book series Preacher? There is a monologue that one of the main antagonists has, and he goes, kill the women first. And you're like, oh, what is he talking about? He's talking to his superiors about what to do in a terrorist situation. You have to kill the women terrorists first, because not only are they there because they're very highly skilled, they're so more skilled than the men that they had to be overlooked of their gender so they could actually be a part of it. So they're the most deadliest person. So they're there, fucking kill them right away. Yeah. And it felt like that. And Jennifer and I have been working so hard for the last few years. It feels like you lose a lot of yourself. I used to be a much sweeter, friendlier, nicer Mary before, and now you kind of feel like a part of you dies, but you get something, you move ahead, you get to a certain point. A lot of it, people are like, oh, is it a horror movie, or is it, I feel like it's almost like extreme cinema. It's
it feels like a tragic opera to me. And
it's just a character study. It's a bunch of character studies, and you can get what you want out of it. It's like a modern tragedy, right?
Because it's so different. I mean, a lot of people, when we were first developing it, said you need to really build up Mr. Real Girl as the villain, and I was like, that's not the villain. I mean, it's the evolution of the final girl. I mean, now we have a final girl who not only takes matters into her own hands, she's her own villainess. I mean, it's irrelevant who stabs her. I mean, in our first draft, it was Rat, the guy that she sews up at the very beginning, that comes and kills her, because it's not...
We wanted it so out of the blue, like, who the fuck, why did he do it? Who gives a fuck? If you just got stabbed in your apartment, no one would be like, oh, by the way, he stabbed you because of this, and this, just so everyone's clear, and now you're stabbed.
I think it's good that you can't pigeonhole the movie.
That was a real challenge with getting it made. But oh my god, and just so many. I mean, it's a blanket statement, but some of the gentlemen that we approached didn't get any of the content at all. Like when Mary smiles and she's not smiling with her eyes, they're like, "Well, she's happy," and it's like, she's not happy. She's a woman. It's like, well, why isn't Mary having a monologue as to what she's thinking? Well, women are much more guarded than men. I mean, if a girl says she's fine, most of the time we're not fine. I mean, we can be holding something in the inside, and like with what she does with Dr. Grant, I mean, that was something that she was working away at for quite a while. I hope that surprises people. Yeah. When she goes into the storage.
Well, it's really cool because Universal could have come in here because they're a big company and been like, yes. Oh, change this, change that, let's make it as Hollywood as possible. They let us they haven't changed a fucking thing whatsoever. Yeah.
Wow.
They've been so supportive. Like, these are the guys who made Dracula, Frankenstein, the creature from the Black Lagoon, and everyone says, oh, studios are evil and whatnot. It's their 100-year anniversary. They're having a focus on horror, and they wanted to find something so different. And when we met them at the Cannes Film Festival, I couldn't even believe how sweet and supportive they were. Like, they were just like, I love this. And the guys in charge of there, Mike Hewitt especially, who's been helping us out with everything, he's a real horror fan. And we've been talking about American Mary for weeks now, and it's like, but he gets it. It's not like I have to sell the movie to him. He gets it, and he's really excited about it. He's excited to make this new definition of horror, and we're very fucking lucky.
It would be one thing to ally yourself with a studio like Universal, but to have the studio actually really believe in the work and not say, okay, well, you're a couple of young girl filmmakers, what the fuck do you know? We know about market. We've been doing it for 100 years. Let's change this, cut that, and redo that. But they've been so incredibly supportive. I'm just honored. I can't say enough nice things about Universal.
The only thing they changed, which I didn't know, was they put the Universal logo on the front, and I started to fucking cry in the theater. I was like, oh my god, that's Universal, and my movie, what the
fuck? To see that with American Mary, our own film, I mean, yeah, that's just, there's no words to describe how that feels.
No, it's a big honor.
My god, right, you're going to get stolen, so Jen, Sylvia, thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Oh my god, thank you guys so much.